So last week I covered Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and I can't help but I feel like I missed a mark on Dragon Ball GT, because generally those are very popular characters that deserve a roster spot. But I still do think that the number of roster spots are genuinely confusing, and we actually have no idea how many characters are actually going to be on the roster day one. The more I've thought about this by each passing day, the more I think that 164 characters might actually be capped, and there's way more slots than that. Goku alone takes up 13 slots, and this is not even counting most of his fusion forms, along with Vegeta taking up 13 slots as well, which just means obviously that they effectively take up most of the roster spots. So even though 164 is advertised, I just personally do not buy it. But every single form that I mention is either from DBZ, DBZ movies, or Dragon Ball Super, or Dragon Ball Super movies. So in a total of 13 forms across 2 of the characters, we haven't seen not one GT character announced. It's also already been confirmed that a character that has never been in the Bodukai Tenkaichi game will not receive that slot. If you're wondering who I think is going to be the secret character slot, I think it's going to be Android 21 because it makes the most sense. But that is not what this video is about. Let's take a step back and check out the original Bodukai Tenkaichi roster, or excuse me, Bodukai Tenkaichi 3 roster, because that is definitely a base of what the actual Sparking Zero roster is actually going to look like on top of the new super character. This game came out in the United States just about 20 years ago this coming November, and this is actually insane looking back that this game had 3 Kid Goku versions from GT, which in my opinion, I don't think that's gonna happen, at least in the new game. It even had Pan, which is actually kind of good, but I don't think that's gonna happen in this game too. DLC possibly, but that is a complete stretch. And the star of the show forms, which includes SS4 Goku, SS4 Gogeta, SS4 Vegeta, and Maj U, which in my opinion, it would be an absolute mistake to not include these 4 into the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero roster. I do think that these characters have to be in the game. They can definitely have some insanely unique movesets if that's the case. But bouncing off my original video that I made a couple of days ago, I do think that it is going to get a little more love, especially since I think the whole 164 characters thing is not necessarily the case, because there's just so much room that they have to fill. So for this case, we're actually just going to go ahead and add 4 more characters to Dragon Ball GT. I do think that Baby Vegeta is unnecessary, so I'm just going to leave him out and just go with Baby 1, 2, and Grade 8 Baby. We're actually going to go ahead and give 17 his additional forms. We're actually going to go with Super 17. And honestly, this is just my prediction, so this can actually just blow up in my face, and you know, I really wouldn't care because it's just a prediction, so this might not even happen. But in my opinion, I do think that these 8 characters are going to make the game. And even in the original game, we've actually gotten a lot of characters from the DBZ movies, the same amount as GT, if not more than GT. So I'm definitely not a GT hater, because it has one of my most favorite transformations of all time, and it's honestly one of the most iconic transformations, and it has some of the coolest character designs. It just is me being realistic, because even back in 2004, there already was lack of GT characters in the game in the first place. So it's really not going to be different from then to now, especially since we have Super on the horizon and a couple more DBZ movies in between that, which we have already gotten confirmed. But like any video like this and other Dragon Ball Sparking Zero prediction videos, these are very volatile. All these videos are going to be completely irrelevant by the time the game comes out anyway. But if we are going to have GT characters, I strongly believe that these will be the 8 characters. And logically speaking, from a business standpoint, I definitely understand them pushing Dragon Ball Super more in this game than Dragon Ball GT. It just makes way more logical sense to push the more recent series. It's also pretty popular, and it just makes sense. Like I said, it's not me being a hater or anything like that. It's just me being realistic. And with me thinking that the roster is way more than 164, because thinking about it, I think there's going to be way more than 164 characters. There's definitely room for everybody on the roster. They just have to pick it carefully, you know what I mean? So yeah, this video is definitely going to be dedicated to, you know, guessing GT characters specifically. So I honestly think that these are going to be the 8 that will be base game roster. I would not be surprised if it's something different. Then of course we're gonna have to find out to see until we get more trailers. But I definitely would not be surprised if they save the GT trailer for last, because that is going to be insane. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little GT discussion video for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. As a matter of fact, I had actually just covered Dragon Ball Sparking Zero roster prediction in the last video, as well as play Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. So check those 2 videos out on the screen right now, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.